Route 66, Route 66. We'll drive around the classic cars, pick up chicks and biker bars. It doesn't matter where we are, as long as we're on Route 66, Route 66.
California, I am here, looking for hot chicks and beer. Bikinis on beaches look great in the sun. I never thought I could have so much fun. A biker chick said, let's get a beer on the Santa Monica Pier. I never thought I could be freer. California, I am here. Hey, I'm Insane Sam, and I'm about to guide you through the second leg of your 8th day of your 10-day Route 66 tour. We left off in Topock on the California border. Let's get you directions from here to Barstow. Go to route66mc.com, go to the right-hand column on the home screen and find Get Directions. Put Topock in the Leaving From box and Barstow on the Heading To box. Click on Get Directions, and turn-by-turn directions between those two towns is going to pop up. Okay, a few miles into California, you're going to go through an inspection station. When you pass through the station, be sure to follow my directions to Needles from route66mc.com. The Route 66 signs on I-40 are going to direct you back to the Oatman Highway instead of to Needles. Needles statistically is the second hottest place in the United States after Death Valley, and I can believe it, it's hot there. As you enter Needles following my directions, you're going to pass by an old wagon that supposedly was used in the 1960s TV show Death Valley Days, which was hosted by the great Ronaldus Magnus, also known as Ronald Reagan. Who knows, maybe the wagon really was used in the show. Needles has several vintage motels, the most interesting of which is Fender's River Road Resort. The 1906 El Garces was a hotel and railroad depot built by the Santa Fe Railroad and Fred Harvey in 1908. It once was the crown jewel of the Harvey House Chain. Restoration efforts are underway, but today there's still no hotel or restaurant. Still, it's an impressive place, and it's easy to imagine how grand the El Garces must have once been. The coolest bar in town is the Red Dog Saloon. This is a simple but clean biker joint with a small bar room and a large room on the side where they sometimes have live bands. The ride from Needles to Barstow for years has been one of the longest remaining stretches of the original Route 66. But rainstorms a few years ago washed out over 50 bridges and some sections of roadway. Some of the repairs have been completed, but the road between Essex and Amboy sometimes is closed. In route66mc.com, I give directions over the traditional route under the assumption repairs eventually will be made to reopen the entire route. In the meantime, look for detour signs. Goffs is the next town past Needles. It was a railroad town and a Route 66 stopping point until 1931, when a more direct route was built to connect Needles and Amboy. The general store still remains, but it has been abandoned. There's a restored 1914 schoolhouse that has a museum featuring the area's mining history. There's not much else. No phone, no lights, no motor cars, not a single luxury. You might as well just zip through Goff, there's nothing there to see. Okay, the next stop is Fender, which has Naja's Food and Drink Garden. This place is offensively expensive, and they make no apologies about it. On the other hand, it's the only gas, food, and water between there and Ludlow, unless Roy's is open in Amboy, which is never a sure bet. The first time I traveled this road, I was going west to east from Ludlow over to Naja's. When I went through Ludlow, I thought I had plenty of gas, but I was on fumes by the time I got to Fender. The thought of being stranded on this lonely stretch of road without water was not appealing. I was glad to pay any price for gas and cold water. Essex didn't get a TV station until 1977. The town had only 89 residents in 2005, and the elementary school had only 4 students. Here's something pretty cool. During World War II, General Patton trained soldiers near Chambless, California for desert fighting in the North Africa campaign in World War II. The only local store there would not serve beer, but it did serve lemonade for the soldiers and the other customers. The Roadrunner Cafe, which had a huge cool sign, was in Chambless, but it closed in 1995. Between Chambless and Amboy, look out for the Shoe Tree. This is where travelers have been tossing their shoes for years. It's located on an overpass on the left-hand side of the road as you travel east to west, and you'll see the shoes hanging from the branches. Amboy is home to Roy's Motel and Cafe. This place has been in a lot of movies and TV commercials. Roy's was started as a garage in 1927 by Roy Crowles. At one time, Roy had 90 full-time employees, but Roy's didn't fare well when I-40 bypassed Amboy, and it hadn't offered full services for years. It currently has a small convenience store. This store is not always open, so don't count on being able to get gas there. But despite having limited operation, the facility is in surprisingly good repair. Rumors of restoration efforts are out there, but there doesn't appear to be much going on. The Amboy Crater is a few miles west toward Ludlow. This is a volcanic crater, not a meteor crater like the one in Arizona. It last erupted about 500 years ago. Climbing is allowed, and there's a walking trail to the top, and you can peer into the crater if you want. The big site in Ludlow is the 1908 Ludlow Mercantile Company building. This place was a big deal in its day, but the building's been abandoned for years and it's falling down now. The Ludlow Cafe is open, and the Ludlow Motel next door gets pretty good reviews for a motel in the middle of nowhere. Route 66 between Ludlow and Newberry Springs is very rough. It'll rattle you and your bike to pieces. You might consider taking I-40, which is rough itself for this stretch. Newberry Springs has the Baghdad Cafe from the movie by that name. It's the original building from the movie, but it's not the original Baghdad Cafe, which is in the now lost town of Baghdad that was near Amboy. The remnants of the motel used in the movie are nearby, and there's also a well-preserved fenced-in Whiting Brothers station. The Barn is a good bar a few hundred yards out of town. Downtown Barstow originally was situated along the railroad tracks. Today it follows Business 15 in a long straight shot right through town. On the way into town, you're going to see a sign for the Harvey House Hotel. This was the 1911 Casa del Desierto in the original Barstow downtown area. It now serves as the Amtrak depot. The Barstow Route 66 Mother Road Museum and the Western America Railroad Museum also are there. There are plenty of vintage motels with fun neon signs. There are also a bunch of cool neon signs and restaurants, including a miniature Roy's sign at the now closed Juan Pollo Mexican restaurant. Find yourself one of the cool looking hotels, check in, and get ready for a trip to Pasadena in the morning. This is the end of the 8th day of your 10-day Route 66 ride. Tomorrow we'll be heading to Pasadena, which is the home of the Rose Bowl and just a quick hop from downtown LA in the end of your journey. But before you go to the next video, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button so you can get notices of when I post new videos and other useful information you might otherwise miss. Also, if you leave your comments on this video, I'll do my best to respond to them. Insane Sam out.